I think it's always important to be able to stay focused on this topic, which is very important for us at this summit. And just to share with you, my inspiration actually occurred back in 1997 when Apple, Steve Jobs, and wonderful CIOs began to really develop a new vision for Apple, and that was to think different. And that inspires me because as a new college president, I believe we have a responsibility to turn the culture of our community colleges to start to think different, and certainly to think different when we begin to talk about this issue or this really opportunity with entrepreneurship. Let's look at some of the real facts. The college completer agenda is one of the national agendas that we're working with now. It is important for many of our students who are starting in community colleges to graduate, to complete, and that's also a very important mission of our four-year colleges and universities. But here are some of the realities. Just last week, it was announced that the average debt of a student graduate is now $25,000. And we've already been discussing the real impact that many college graduates cannot find jobs in this market. We also have the struggle at our community colleges with a very diverse mission. We're serving traditional students, we're serving adult learners who are coming in as dislocated workers, coming in as single parents. And so having all of those different strains on our instructors and our programs, it's creating a new question. How do we begin to create this ecosystem for entrepreneurs? Traditional adults and also the myths of entrepreneurship. We begin to think that entrepreneurs are really coming from that traditional age set. The 18, the 19-year-old who's becoming extremely successful. But yes, we also heard today that average age is around now 40 of many successful entrepreneurs. So what is that really unique? What is that call for us at community colleges for that big idea? This may sound a little bit sacrilegious, but I'm not really convinced that we should be developing academic programs for entrepreneurship. Are we going to focus on 15 weeks of a course that's focused on the topic of entrepreneurship? Are we going to offer a 2-year degree in entrepreneurship, a 4-year degree? That's what I'm not sold on. And so maybe more of really to create this ecosystem for entrepreneurs is really coming through workforce education. Maybe it's coming through community education, continuing education. And with that link, it's lifelong learning for the entrepreneur. I think that's the strategy that we need to start to think different at our community and technical colleges, is utilizing the skill sets of the people who are engaged in workforce education. Let's see the connections. Because the individuals who are in workforce education are already linked with local employers within our communities. They're linked with the Chamber of Commerce. They're linked with economic development directors. And what that is an important link to be able to connect entrepreneurs to those resources. So I believe when you begin to offer some of the different skill sets to entrepreneurs, maybe we should look at seminars, workshops, various short-term training sessions to be able to give them important skill sets as they make this journey as an entrepreneur, and not necessarily focus on that college degree. Now, when I make the reference to completer versus never a completer, the mission of the community college is certainly to have graduates, and we will continue to fulfill that mission. But we also want to create the mindset with people in our community that they never complete. Yes, they might earn a 2-year degree, but they keep on with their experiences with lifelong learning through community education and continuing education. In order to be able to take this think different approach, we have to engage beyond the borders of our region. And so I'm going to share with you something that a little bit that we're trying to do at our small college. Are there any entrepreneurs in the room? Yes, okay, I want to definitely get your reactions as we move forward. We are looking at foundations to be able to give us a sense of motivation to start to think different. Now, last night we had a lot of fun at the reception. We had a chance to put together messages in front of that the camera, and a colleague of mine back there with Hardy County Chamber of Commerce, Felicia, and I did the big think big on the top of our heads. So I'll give you a personal example. Eastern West Virginia Community College, fall enrollment, 790 students. Just Wednesday, we hired a full-time entrepreneurship coach to be able to work with our students, to connect with our chambers, connect with economic development directors, to create that link through workforce education. A small institution able to think big. The important part of connections Accountability, we heard that earlier today. We need to be able to provide entrepreneurs those connections with community leaders and business leaders to have them accountable for the goals that they're trying to set for their new business. We need to be able to provide them with the mentors through this workforce network. And that networking is also important. An aha moment for me today was realizing that when we organize workshops and seminars at our college, we should organize them with the opportunity to create networking events along with the training. So it's not just sitting in a classroom in a computer lab or sitting in a workshop, but it's about also creating the network opportunities for the students to be able to engage with employers. And link it always with education. The impact for entrepreneurship is great today. It doesn't matter the location, because we can begin to create small businesses right there on Main Street because of broadband initiatives happening throughout our country and also through eastern West Virginia. 235 Chipley Lane may be that entrepreneur who is actually conducting their business online right there from their apartment or from their personal home. Rural USA is no longer disconnected from the global environment. So we now have the ability to connect entrepreneurs with the rest of the world. So how do we begin to make those effective changes? How do we begin to think different? Workforce education, I've always perceived as the research and development of our institutions. They have the flexibility, because if we begin to look at new programs, new courses, it goes before the academic review teams, it goes before our learning outcome teams, it goes before all the curriculum review, it takes time. Workforce development has the ability, when a response is received or a request is received from a local employer for training needs or from entrepreneurs, they are sometimes forced to put together programs 2 weeks. That's flexibility, and that's what entrepreneurs are looking for. Journey Page is another wonderful opportunity offered, because it's now being able to connect our students to other successful entrepreneurs, not just in the Potomac Highlands, but throughout the rest of the United States. So that inspired us with an advisory board. All of our community and technical colleges have advisory boards for academic programs. We are now going to take that next step to create an advisory board for our entrepreneurship services, in which we will identify local entrepreneurs from our community. But this is the reason I was asking the question earlier, entrepreneurs in the room. We would like to connect through WebEx, Skype, FaceTime, entrepreneurs in other parts of the country to serve on our advisory board. Because if we're going to think different, we have to hear the different ideas exchanged by other entrepreneurs throughout this country. And so being able to engage electronically and using that technology will expand our awareness of how we can shift and move our entrepreneurship training and programs in a very quick response by the interaction that we get from other entrepreneurs, if they're in Chicago, Kansas City, or in another rural community on the West Coast. That's going to be a valuable resource for us. Is it really the big, bold idea? No, it's about really taking some of the services that we already have available at our community and technical colleges called workforce and continuing education and lifelong learning. Thank you.